In the previous video, we started solving questions on laws of indices. Remember, I told you that the goal is to solve at least 50 questions, starting from simple, graduating into complex, and even looking for questions surrounding SAT, whatever it is, any question under laws of indices. We are going to solve them together, and I'll always make references to the laws that I had given you a foundation, or rather a background on. And so I believe you're with me now. Let's continue from where we stopped. Now, suppose you have this as a question. I can't number them anymore because I wouldn't know which number I stopped at. So imagine you have this question: 3 raised to the power of 2 and then power 4 is outside. What do you think will be the solution to this? Remember the law of indices that says that if you have x raised to the power of a, then power b is outside, then the answer will be x raised to the power of power will multiply power. The power you have outside can multiply the power inside. So it will be a, b. Because when a multiplies b, the answer will surely be ab. Is that not so? When two variables multiply each other, the answer will be the coming together of those two variables. So if C multiplies D, the answer will be CD. If E multiplies F, the answer will be EF. If A, if Y multiplies V, the answer will be VY. You bring will I say the smaller letter before the next letter. For example, V comes before Y. So instead of saying YV, why not say VY? It's better that way. Anyways, going by this law of indices, our answer will be 3 raised to the power of 2 times 4 is 8. So that will be 2 raised to the power of 8. And if you got this, then you're very correct with a 5 marks. Mind you, all this my 5 marks is not a standard, right? A teacher can choose to give you 2 marks or even 1 mark or even half mark for any of these questions. But I give you 5 if you're able to get it. Now this is another question I want us to look at. Suppose you have this 10 raised to the power of 0. What do you think the answer will be? Remember the law of indices that says x raised to the power of 0 is equal to 1. So it means that any number raised to the power of 0, the answer will be 1. So if you have 10 raised to the power of 0, the answer will surely be 1. So if you got this, you are correct with a 5 marks. Now, let us express, look at this question. Let us express, the question says express 1 over 8 as a power of 2. As a power of 2. I'm writing like this so that you'll be able to see clearly. Express 1 over 8 as a power of 2. How do you solve this problem? Now, remember that 1 over 8 is the same thing as, okay, you can solve it in many ways. Let me solve it this way first. 1 over 8 will give you 1 over, instead of writing 8, we can say 8 is the same thing as 2 over 3. Is that also 2 over 3, right? So you can leave it like this as your final answer. But remember that I have taught you that there's this law of indices that says x raised to the power of minus 3, okay, let's say minus a, is the same thing as 1 over x raised to the power of a. It means that 1 over x raised to the power of a can also be taken back to be this because they are equal to each other. What am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is that 1 over 2 raised to the power of 3 is the same thing as when you say 2 raised to the power of minus 3, right? And so that is the answer. So if you have, well, let me stop here. This is the answer actually. So what, therefore, 1 over 8 is the same thing as 2 raised to the power of minus 3. You know why? Because we reduce 8 to base 2 now, 2 power 3, and 1 over 2 power 3 is the same thing as this. Are you confused? Now, or you can also solve that question like this. 1 over 8. Now, 1 over 8 is the same thing as 8 raised to the power of minus 1. Is that not so? Remember I told you that 2 raised to the power minus 1 is equal to 1 over 2. That's the law of indices, right? The law says if x raised to the power minus a equals to 1 over x raised to the power of a. Is that not so? That's the law of indices. So 1 over 8 something as x 8 raised to the power of minus 1, and we know that you can reduce 8 now to become 2 raised to the power of 3, right? Then minus 1 is outside. Then power multiply power, 2 raised to the power of 3 times minus 1 is minus 3. So you see that it's the same answer at the end of the day. Do you understand? If you got this correctly, it is a 5 mark for you. Now this is another question that I want us to look at. Suppose you have a raised to the power of 3 multiplied by a raised to the power of 5. Going by the first law of indices, the answer will be a raised to the power of 3 plus 5, right? A raised to the power of 3 plus 5, and that will give you a raised to the power of 8, because 3 plus 5 is 8. So this is also correct. Whatever class you are in, even if you're a parent, you can learn these things and teach your children when they come home, or you can even help them solve their help them, just teach them their assignments so that they can solve by themselves. All right, so this is the next question I want us to look at. If you have x raised to the power of 7 divided by x raised to the power of 4, our answer will be, as you have guessed, x raised to the power of 7 minus 4. And that will give you x raised to the power of 7 minus 4 is 3. And that's the final answer. If you got this, that is 5 marks. So you see that laws of indices, I don't know the way you have seen it before, but it is as easy as you can imagine. Now look at this question. If the question says you should evaluate into bracket 2 raised to the power of 3 close bracket raised to the power of 5, then divided by 2 raised to the power of 4. You see that we are getting to something a little complex, right? This will be, how do you solve this? First of all, you know that we can apply a law of indices here. The law that says that x raised to the power a power b is equal to x raised to the power ab. So we can apply that law to this first one here. So if we apply, let's see what it will look like. 2 raised to the power of 3 times 5 is 15 divided by 2 raised to the power of 4. Now we can apply the second law of indices to this. The second law tells us that if we have x raised to the power of a divided by x raised to the power of b, our answer will be x raised to the power of a minus b. Is that not so? So if you apply that to this, what you have up here, the answer will be 2 raised to the power of 15, right, equal to 2 raised to the power of 15 minus 4, and that will finally give 2 raised to the power of 11. Final answer. Did you get that? If you did, this is 5 marks as well. Now, continuation, let's just continue from where we stopped, right? Suppose you have this as a question. Suppose you have this as a question. Let's say the question says you have to express, right, 27 raised to the power of 1 over 3. Okay, let's assume that's what the question says as a number. Now the question is not saying you should leave it as index. Remember, an index must have what? An index must have power or exponent, and index must also have base. So, but when they say number, it is not exactly the same as index. All right, let's leave that aside. Now the question says express 27 all raised to the power of 1 over 3 as a number. So to do that, to solve this, 27 raised to the power expressed as a number, remember the law that says if you have x raised to the power of a over b, the answer will be the b root of x, right? All raised to the power of a. So I want to apply that to this 27 raised to the power of 1 over 3 now. It will now be what? The cube root of 27, right? Then you put brackets all raised to the power of 1. Now what's the cube root of 27? The cube root of 27 is that number that you can multiply by itself 3 times to get 27. So you think of a number that you can multiply by itself 3 times to get 27. The answer is not 2 because 2 times 2 times 2 will not give us 27. 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, is not 27. So the number we are thinking of is not 2. Let's try 3. 3 times 3 times 3. Will it give us 27? 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. So the answer is actually 3. So the cube root of 27 is 3. It is 3 not just because this is cube. No. It just happens that 3, the answer is 3, and here it is also 3. But we're not saying that, for example, if you see fourth root of 19, you now say the answer is 4 because this is 4. No, that's not the reason. This is 3 is not because this is 3, number 3 here. No, it is simply because we thought of a number that we can use to multiply itself 3 times, and it actually is 3. Okay, the number we use to multiply itself 3 times to get 27. The number of times is this one that is outside, then the result is this. So the number we can use to multiply itself in this number of times to get this is what we wrote here, right? So it is actually 3. And then what next? Remember there's a power 1 outside, so put it. So 3 raised to the power of 1 is 3 as final answer. Remember the question says express 27 raised to the power of 1 over 3 as a number. We have expressed it as a number, and the number is actually 3, right? Now that's the answer to this question. 5 marks. Now this is another one. Suppose this one is usually found in SS1 questions, something like this: x raised to the power of 4, y raised to the power of 2, all raised to the power of 3. Remember a law of indices that I've introduced you to. I told you that that law says that I don't want to write the laws again so that I don't confuse you, because I don't know the audience that is watching this. So this power, you can distribute this. First of all, if you distribute this, you have, put it in brackets, x raised to the power of 4 times y raised to the power of 2, close brackets, all raised to the power of 3. So when you distribute, it means that these 3 will affect x, it will also affect y together with their exponents. So let's do that. X raised to the power of 4, because 3 is going to affect it, you open a bracket and multiply it by 3, times y raised to the power of 2, because 3 will affect it, you open a bracket and write 3 as well. So the final answer will now give you x raised to the power of 4 times 3, 12,